Hello my friend, welcome back to Trending Viral Recaps. In this video I will recap a movie that will have you on the edge of your seat. The movie begins with a man named Cairo, walking around a neighborhood in Buenos Aires. Cairo is a thug, and when he notices a car of his interest, he breaks into it. He gets into the car and steals its stereo in the overhead compartment. Cairo finds a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses and pockets them. He still isn't satisfied, violating the car, and he forcefully clenches his butt to squeeze out a fart. He finally feels that his work is done and he proceeds to leave. But, to my surprise, the door does not open. He tries the other 3 doors, but none of them would open, leaving him with no other option. He tries to open the door by squeezing his hand inside, only to injure himself severely. He starts bleeding, but the car door won't open after everything else has failed. Cairo draws his weapon and fires at the front glass, but the bullets ricochet off and pierce Cairo's thighs. Cairo screams in agony as his wound bleeds heavily. He removes his shirt and puts it around the wound. Until now, Cairo had managed to avoid being observed, but after shooting himself in the foot, he tries to attract the attention of someone on the outside to assist him in getting out of the automobile, even if it meant he'd have to go to prison. Fortunately, a woman emerges from the car and begins to do her cosmetics. Cairo tries to ask for assistance through the car window, but it looks that the woman outside the car is unable to see Cairo inside. He screams at her, but she walks away unfazed. Cairo tries to phone his wife. However, because the call may drain the phone's battery, several hours pass and Cairo falls asleep. Cairo is exceedingly thirsty when he wakes up the next day. He's out of water and is forced to lick the fog from the window out of desperation. Later, he takes the vehicle stereo out of his luggage and replaces it, listening to the radio. His favorite song is playing on the radio, and he becomes lost in the music, forgetting about his problems for a brief period. Despite the fact that the song is a raucous ballad about having intercourse in the automobile, it also happens to be a description of Cairo's position. It mentions misty windows, reclined seats, and partying all night. For some reason, the music inspires him to try to open the door once more. And he gets right to work. A phone starts to ring as he repeatedly knocks the door with a tool. The call is answered by the vehicle stereo speaker, and a man on the other end talks. Dr. Enrique Ferrari is the man's name, and he welcomes Cairo inside the automobile. Enrique goes on to say that he owns the SUV and has been robbed 28 times in his life. He goes on to say that Cairo is the 29th robber to attempt to steal from him. Cairo is enraged by the revelation. He begs to be set free, but Enrique orders him to stay quiet and listen. Enrique then goes on to say that he calls his automobile 4x4, which has an alarm that is linked to his phone and allows ENCO to lock all of the car's doors. It's impenetrable. Because of active suspension, it can't be moved from the inside. It's also noise-proof. Furthermore, all of the glass are polarized, including the front windshield. The gas tank, which can contain 120 liters of fuel, is the only thing that isn't bulletproof. Right now, it's completely full. Enrique cautions him that a full gas tank could be a bomb waiting to go off. And just in case he does anything amusing, it's possible that he'll be blown up along with the car. Enrique adds, as everybody listens in surprise, that he is a widower who was born in KMI 60 years ago. He grew up in a typical middle-class family. His dwelling's doors were never secured at the time. Enrique claims that his current life is in such a horrible shape that he misses the one he had previously. He asks Cairo what he would do if he caught his son stealing when he was a child, but Cairo has had enough and threatens to expose Enrique to the police, so Cairo orders Enrique to release him so he may kill him and his entire family. Enrique turns on the air conditioner and sets it to the lowest setting to torture the burglar before Cairo can continue the phone call and hangs up. Cairo tries unsuccessfully to turn off the air conditioning, leaving him with little alternative except to remove his shirt from his wound and wear it to stop his foot from bleeding. He rips his jeans apart and wraps them around his wound. Enrique contacts the thief again after torturing him for an hour and asks him what he would do. He informs his kid that if he is found stealing, he will give him water. If Cairo answers the question right, he does so, but it does not please him. Enrique tells Cairo to stop pretending, as he's learned his lesson, but Enrique doesn't seem to mind. And he's told Cairo about an occurrence once again. He confesses that two men broke into his daughter's home in December. Her car broke down as she was parking. Enrique admits that he prepared his daughter for such circumstances. She avoids eye contact at all costs and always has money on ready to distribute. However, the instruction was insufficient, and the robbers held Enrique's grandsons hostage for 3 hours. Cairo, on the other hand, is uninterested in Enrique's stories and interrogates him. What type of doctor would deny a wounded person access to water? Enrique compliments him on his query and asks him to guess what sort of doctor he is before hanging up. As Cairo mulls over his options, a police car pulls up alongside his SUV and stops. Cairo is full of optimism once more, and he tries to grab the attention of the officer. But the officer instead issues a ticket to the SUV and leaves many hours later. Enrique calls again, this time requesting Cairo's complete name and ID number in exchange for some water. Enrique leads Cairo to the water in the washer hose at the back. The water is light blue and colorless. But a parched Cairo couldn't care less and gulps it down, exhaling a sigh of relief. Cairo, on the other hand, is still hungry and without food. As a result, he feels practically compelled to devour one insect that has found its way into the vehicle. Later, Cairo examines his wound and notices that it is yellowing. He's also got a temperature. Enrique chooses to take a break from him. He also turns on the air conditioning for Cairo. So that he might calm down, he discloses that he, too, is sick. Enrique is a cancer patient who is nearing the end of his life. And the doctors have informed him he only has a year left. As Enrique walks to blabber, Cairo removes his clothing and drops out. Cairo's body has gone yellow as well. Later, Cairo searches the car handbook for a way out, but all he manages to do is eat a page out of despair and frustration. Cairo is at his lowest point, and he had his own container to quench his thirst. Things are now looking up for Cairo. When a thief attempts to break into the SUV, he is given hope. Passers-by, on the other hand, see the robber and beat him up before handing him over to the cops. As night falls, he becomes a philosopher as a result of dehydration and hunger. He mentions how a small number of individuals have a lot of stuff that needs to be shared so that everyone can enjoy it. He goes on to say that the world is full of poor people who are subjected to laws enacted by rich people for the benefit of rich people. And Cairo declares that he will not obey them. He reveals that he will disclose himself even if he is shot. That's why, like his father and grandpa, he became a thief. Enrique calls him the next day and reads to him. According to the newspaper Enrique, he is in a good mood. As a result, he leads him to a chocolate bar hiding beneath the bricks. After spending the entire day sleeping and studying the people in the area, he strikes on one of the doors repeatedly. From the inside, he was able to peel it down to its metal component. He eventually succeeds in making a small hole in the door that opens to the outside. He shouts through the tiny hole in an attempt to catch someone's attention, but without success. Enrique subsequently phones and tells that he has reached Cairo's family. Upon hearing his name, Cairo sobs and warns Enrique not to harm them. He then pleads, tearfully, what he done to him to deserve this. But Enrique refuses to stop. And he pulls out Cairo's criminal record, revealing that Cairo has murdered someone before a distraught Cairo denies ever killing anyone. Enrique discloses that he has receipts. Cairo broke into the Solarno brothers' home in Barrocas in order to rob them. They attempted to fight back, and Cairo fired his gun at them. Enrique also brings up an elderly bus driver who has been viciously beaten by Cairo. Cairo, on the other hand, refuses to accept responsibility, blaming the driver for not allowing him to rob the passengers. He claims that he committed errors and that he has already paid for them. Cairo uses solar electricity to charge his phone and contacts his wife. However, the call is sent to voicemail on voicemail. He tells his wife everything and apologizes for making another mistake. After bawling his eyes out, Cairo goes outside to play with the cars, starts it up, and turns it on. He fastens his seatbelt and shifts the gear into reverse mode, as it appears that it can only be started without a key after pressing it a set number of times. The gear, however, becomes locked in reverse mode, forcing him to drive in backwards. To get people's attention, he speeds up the automobile and crashes it into a post. Fortunately, the airbag deploys in a timely manner, and he is unharmed. Cairo is finally able to escape by kicking down the weakening back window. He is in excruciating pain, yet he manages to drag himself to a local gas station cafe and orders some food for himself. The restaurant manager orders him to pay for his dinner and go quickly as he enjoys every bite. This ENR Cairo shoots the manager, and when Cairo wakes up, he realizes he was dreaming and that he is still trapped in the car. Enrique calls again, and Cairo threatens to kill himself, but it doesn't work. The former irritated Cairo raises his gun to his mouth and fires. However, the gun becomes jammed. Enrique chuckles at the thief's plight and instructs him to look in front of the vehicle. Finally, he makes himself known. Enrique joins him in the car. Cairo is exhausted to the point of exhaustion, and he lacks the energy to flee. Enrique attends to Cairo's wounds before getting distracted on a business call as Cairo appears to fall asleep. Cairo then tries unsuccessfully to shoot the crazy doctor and leaps out of the car. He's finally out, and he fires a warning shot into the air. Enrique, on the other hand, approaches him again and tries to drag him back to the SUV. When a policewoman sees the two, she orders the doctor to put down his gun. People, reporters, and police encircled the location for 2 hours. Enrique, on the other hand, refuses to let Cairo go, claiming that he is the thief's victim. When all else fails, the cops call Julio Amadio, a retired negotiator, who asks what he wants. Enrique then goes on to enumerate a number of issues that he encounters on a daily basis that the government ignores because no one was injured. Enrique claims that he had to avoid 2,000 dog poops on the street while walking to work since dog owners do not clean up after their pets. When no one is seeing, the public empathizes with Enrique and supports him. Julio does not let up and continues to speak with Enrique, eventually persuading him to release Cairo. The cops arrest Cairo and Julio Enrique for refusing to submit, but he gets in his car after setting a timer on top of it. Julio fears it's a bomb and instructs everyone to back off. The SUV explodes, killing Enrique but kindling a fire in the hearts of all commoners. And that concludes the recap of this video. If you enjoyed this story recap and would like more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave us a comment on what movie you would like us to recap next. Thanks for watching Trending Viral Recaps. Have a great day.